Hello, it's me, and welcome to the video. We are joined here today to celebrate the union of me and my smoothie. But in other news, we are also here to talk about my top 7 tips for planning your very first solo international vacation. Those of you who have been subscribed and have been here for a minute have seen me post a lot more travel vlogs this year. I've really prioritized traveling, getting out there, getting to see the world, and my most recent vlogs include a series of my time spent in Tulum and Cancun, Mexico. It was my very first international trip that I planned by myself, and it was also my first trip anywhere that I went on by myself. I learned a lot through that trip, and I want to share some of what I learned for you guys so that if there are any of you out there who are thinking of going on your first international trip, but you're not quite sure what to do or how to do it, you can watch this video for a bit of help and a bit of a push in the right direction. The first step is the most obvious, and that is to pick your destination. If you've already got somewhere in mind, then great, but if you haven't, I really enjoy using 2 particular free tools for picking my destination because it can help me go somewhere the cheapest at the best time of year. Those 2 tools are Google Flights and Hopper. They work about the same. You can also use things like Kayak, and what they do is they allow you to search for a vacation destination, but instead of having to look for a specific date, you can open it up to the full year or just a couple of months that you're available, and you can also not have to look up a specific location, but rather you can see all of the locations and compare the prices. I like using Google Flights for this because it has a convenient map view, but on Hopper they will just straight up tell you these are the places that it is cheapest to travel from this month to this month. I like going to places at the beginning of their off season because it's a little bit cheaper, but it's not quite whatever the reason is for off-season. For example, in Mexico, the off-season is August through October because that is when they have the most hurricanes and the most rain. I went at the end of August, so I got to benefit from a lot of the off-season prices when I was booking things, but because we weren't too deep into the off-season, it only rained one day and only for a couple of minutes when I was doing something anyways, so it ended up being just a really convenient way to get a cheap trip. So using these apps can help you find not only the cheapest destinations, but the cheapest times to go to these destinations. And if you just simply Google when is the off season or is, whatever month a good time to go here, you can find out when your off season is and plan accordingly. Okay. My second tip is to research. Again, seems obvious, but just by having someone tell you these things, sometimes you don't think of it, you're just a little bit too panicked, and sometimes you've already done it. And so having someone say this is what you should be doing can help. It can help calm your nerves. You are most likely not the first person to ever go to the destination that you want to go to. You're not the first person to do it alone. You're not the first person to do it for the number of days that you're doing it. You're not the first person to do it at the time that you're doing it. So someone somewhere already has that knowledge logged for you. Google and YouTube will obviously have lots of information, but I also, when I was planning my Mexico trip, liked looking up itineraries. So I would look up Tulum 3-day itinerary and see what kinds of things people had done. I would also go on Google and just look up things to do in Tulum or near Tulum. And it just helps you get an idea of what you're getting yourself into so that you can get into tip number 3. The third thing that I would absolutely recommend is planning day by day. This helps you because 1, you can keep track of your budget because you know exactly what you're doing each day, how much it's going to cost, and you can save or adjust the trip accordingly to make your money fit what you're doing. Number 2, it can help you feel a lot less intimidated, especially planning your first day thoroughly, like I'm talking hour by hour. This can help you because it's, a lot of your fears when you're going into a new place is, what am I gonna do when I get there? How am I gonna make this work? I don't speak the language. What if I get lost? What if I get confused? What if I can't find anything? How am I gonna make it happen? So just having a day-by-day plan already set up for yourself is a great way to say, well, actually, I know exactly what I'm doing. For my trip, I created a Google Doc where I went day by day and planned exactly what I was doing. And my first day, my arrival, was planned the most thoroughly in that I planned what time I was going to wake up, what time I was going to leave the house, how I was going to get to the airport, what I was going to have to do at the airport. I made sure that, if I needed any COVID documents, they were together. I did it, but I made sure I had my passport. I said when I get off of the plane, I'm going to be in the airport doing this, that, and the third. Then I need to catch this bus. The bus is going to take me here. From there, I can get to here. I knew step by step So every time that I got nervous or scared about what was going to happen, there was no reason to be because I already knew exactly what was going to happen. I planned it. Another great thing that planning day by day can offer you is that you can stick to doing travel tours because you're booking them in advance. I did 2 travel tours during my Tulum trip, and they were great because number one, they put you in a space where most of the people speak English. If you don't speak English, I don't know how you've made it this far into this video, but you probably would just end up booking tours with whatever company offers your language. So for me, it was English. And you end up having a tour guide who speaks English, knows what they're doing, knows what they're going. You don't have to worry about finding an Uber, finding a ride, getting a bike, going here, where's the directions, how do you read the signs? They handle it all for you. So you're around people who know what they're doing, so you don't have to worry about every little step. They speak English. If you get confused or have questions, you can ask. And the people in your group also speak English. So it gives you a chance to meet someone, make a friend, have a good time. I almost went partying with some girls. It was, timing didn't work out for us, but I made some cool friends when I was in Tulum just by being in a group where everybody spoke my language, and I felt pretty comfortable talking to people because I knew they would be able to understand me. Having pre-planned tours really took a lot of the stress off of my trip because instead of having to plan day by day, minute by minute what I was doing when I didn't know anything, all I had to plan was, okay, wake up, walk to the meeting point, and then you're gonna be on a tour for the next 5 hours, so your hands are wiped clean and you can just enjoy your day. Tip number 4, this one also helped ease my nerves, but it was very practical on the trip, is to plan for language and internet connection issues. So we'll start with internet connection. First thing you want to do is go to your phone service people and ask them if your data will be covered in wherever you're going. Wherever you're going probably will have Wi-Fi in places that you probably can connect to, but you're probably not going to have access to it on the street. So if you're walking around and you need to know how to get back to your hotel, but there's no Wi-Fi you can connect to, how are you gonna look that up? How are you gonna find out? How are you gonna ask anybody when you don't speak the language? It puts you in a really precarious situation. So making sure that either your phone plan covers data internationally and you're allowed for international roaming in whatever country you're going to, or that you purchase a SIM card before you go, or oftentimes they have them at the airport when you land so that you'll be able to use data in that country. Whatever the case may be, it's good to be prepared to have some kind of connection. But furthermore than that, I would also say it really helped me to be prepared for times when I didn't have connection. I installed 2 apps on my phone and made sure that they worked without any data or Wi-Fi, and they were so helpful. One of them was just a translator from English to Spanish. I used it whenever I entered a restaurant where they didn't speak my language and I didn't speak theirs. I could just type it in and either, press the little speak button or just have them read it off phone. They could type me a response and we were able to communicate that way, and it did translations without any internet connection. And the second app that I downloaded was a financial converter. So it converted my US dollars to Mexican pesos, so that when someone was charging me for something, I could type it in real quick, look up, see how much that actually was, and see if the price made sense for my budget. Having these 2 tools was really, really invaluable because even in times when I had rough connection or when I didn't want to use my data because I didn't want to run out of my roaming data, I was still able to ask people for help and figure out how much things cost and what I was doing. So really, really recommend getting a financial converter and a language translator that do not need Wi-Fi for whatever country you're going to. And then on the other side of that, we have to prepare for language issues. Like I said, I had my converter that helped me so much, but it was also helpful to just practice a few phrases before I left. One that I used the absolute most was I don't speak English, no hablo español. I also knew the phrase for right because a lot of times when I would be paying for things, they would tell me the price, but I didn't know all of my numbers, so I didn't know what they were saying. So it was helpful to be able to say, hey, can you just write that down for me? And looking at the numbers on paper, I was able to figure it out. It's written the same, so obviously I knew. I knew the phrases for the basic meats, chicken, pork, so on and so forth, so that when I was ordering tacos or anything. I knew how to order the kind that I wanted. Just having a couple of key phrases. I would definitely recommend, I don't speak this language, I only speak English. I would also recommend write, because it really was helpful for paying for things. And I would recommend 1 second, or let me think, or wait a moment, or give me a second, something like that, so that if you are planning on pulling out your translator app and writing down a more complicated message, they understand that they're waiting for you. I'm almost done. My 5th tip would be to make sure you are prepared for all of the conversions you need to make. This can obviously be found out pretty quickly with Google, but by conversions, I mean things like, do you have to convert your cash, or do they take USD or Canadian dollars or whatever dollars you have as you're watching this? Do you need a little outlet plug-in thingy so that when you want to plug in your laptop, it can go into the European port? Do you need to convert your clothes? Convert your clothes, you know? Is it that you're going to a place that has certain social or religious requirements, or you have to be covered a certain amount, or where, you know, you come from a really hot environment and you're going to a cold environment, so you need to be prepared to dress for that. You need to think about how this new place is going to be drastically different from where you were, and what you can do to go ahead and prepare for those differences so you don't run into any last minute troubles that just stress you out unnecessarily. My 6th tip would be to research the safety concerns with your area. Do not ever expect that you are going to go somewhere that is crime-free, low crime, no bad news articles, everything's safe, safe, safe. Tourists have never been robbed, tourists have never been scammed. There is no place like that. Everywhere has its dangers, so knowing what dangers you're getting into with where you're going can be helpful. For example, with me, I am not going to Tijuana or anywhere in North Mexico, Baja California right now, because there is a lot of drug violence happening there right now. It helps that I know a lot of people who are Mexican and have family in Mexico, so they can relay these stories, but this is also something that can be easily found in the news. So there's always going to be crime, but if you notice there's a lot of increased crime, particularly in the place you want to go to, like the city, or increased crime particularly affecting tourists, that might not be the best time to go there. So instead of going to North Mexico, I went all the way down to the south, where things are reported to be much safer. And I would recommend definitely having a look at the news in your area and making sure that it's just a regular amount of crime. It's never going to be perfect, but if there is something crazy going on, give it some time, you know? Make sure you're staying aware. And finally, tip number 7, another obvious one, but it's just helpful to hear, and that is to simply use the street smarts you already have. You've made it this far in life, you know how to survive. Put your street smarts up from your typical 5, put them up to 10, and you'll be fine. You know, this is things like trusting your gut. If something doesn't feel right, just don't go with it. Something else will always come along. It's okay. Take that time. This can mean moving with confidence, acting like you know where you're going even when you don't, not sitting there making it clear to everyone who's walking around that you are absolutely confused beyond a shadow of any help. Walk with confidence, act like you know where you're going, keep your chin up, have a sort of a rough exterior to kind of keep people from messing with you. Hold your bags close, hold your purses close, make sure you're glancing behind you often to ensure that there's nobody back there giving you the runaround. Just be cognizant of yourself, your surroundings, keep your safe things in your safe. Don't bring all of your money out with you every day, only bring a good amount for that day. So if you get robbed, you still have money to survive the next day. Things like that. Just try and use your basic safety skills that I know you have. And those are my 7 tips. They honestly seem pretty obvious, but realistically, a solo international trip is only scary because you're scared to do it. It's not really anything all that different or crazy from planning any other trip, and you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, then I hope this is helpful for you. If you guys want to know more of the details and the specifics of my trip, please do let me know in the comments down below. If you don't let me know, I won't make the video. I know I discussed doing specific videos breaking down my finances for the trip. I would be happy to do that. I wanted to break down exactly how I planned each thing that I was doing and my planning process, maybe plan my next trip with you guys. These are all things I'd be more than happy to show you, but only if you want to see them. So if you're interested in that, please head down below, leave a comment, and let me know that you are interested in that. I'd appreciate if you would leave a comment at all. Click a like, click a subscribe, click a share, use the buttons down there. It really helps my engagement, it can help my channel grow. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we have a very, very, very far way to go. So any help and any engagement would be very much appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that this video helps you. Let me know in the comments where it is that you are thinking of going and what is your biggest fear with going there. Hopefully we can overcome it together. I will see you guys all next time, in which case we will probably be doing one of my more typical vlogs or a TMI or something. And until then, toodaloo.